we take 15 to 20,000 units and we just say that 2 people go into each unit, and we're looking at a projected population of about 30 to 40,000. On the latter end, it's Leitrim, like County Leitrim. Get that into your head. It's the population of County Leitrim, and you simply do not care if it's Irish people that get these houses or if it's people who haven't even arrived into the country.
You got your answer. Okay, that's that.
What is happening, good people? Councillor Patrick, I just want to jump on, do a very quick video. We had a meeting yesterday in Fingal. It was to vary the development plan. It was broken down into variation number 1, variation number 2. For the purpose of this video, I'm trying to keep it as short as possible. I'm only going to talk about one thing within variation number 1, and that was the rezoning of Dunsink from a long-term strategic land bank to residential, which effectively, just to give it a bit of context why this even happened, why the rezoning of the land even happened, was that in July 2025, central government issued out orders to all of the local authorities to say go and basically give us a tally of the amount of land that you have that has planning permission on it but no units have been delivered, and then the potential amount of land that you have to deliver units on, and give us a total figure for the amount of houses that you can deliver. And this is your new target. Every year, these are the houses that you, the local authority, is going to have to produce and to keep up with the demand that is very much there. But that instruction was based off an ESRI report in July 2024, which talked about net migration being the key driving factor to the demand for housing. Obviously, then, net migration is essentially the amount of people that leave to the amount of people that come into the country every year. Obviously, the amount of people coming into the country is significantly greater than the amount of people that are leaving. And of the amount of people coming into the country, obviously the overwhelming 80 to 90% majority for the national coming into the country. So we have a situation now where Dunsink is getting an urban area development plan, and it has the potential, just looking at the size of the land, of a question that I asked yesterday. Fair play to Deirdre, at least she answered it. Roisin, our colleague, didn't want to answer the question, but at least we got some sort of an answer. They couldn't tell us what the overall demographic of the area might be, but staying consistent with Adamstown and Charlestown, it's going to be 80% for the national. And then of the amount of units that could be built, it was 15 to 20,000, which has a potential population of 30 to 50,000 people. This is a population the size of County Leitrim being dropped into West Dublin, and not a single one of the other councillors seem to give two rats of a damn of whether or not those units will be built for local Irish people who are in need, who need housing. Young Irish families, mothers, fathers, sons and daughters, living in the parents' childhood background. This is not sustainable. Mass immigration is causing the housing crisis, and unless we are willing to stand up and address that this elephant in the room is a problem, needs to be curtailed, stemmed, stopped, and a re-migration strategy, a complete reversal of mass immigration over the last 20 years into this country has to happen, then you all may as well just continue to keep your head buried in the sand, voting for Labour, voting for Fianna Fáil, voting for Fine Gael, voting for Sinn Féin, voting for the Social Democrats, voting for People Before Profit, voting for all these treasonous, traitorous snakes, the same pack of treasonous, treacherous snakes who all voted in unison to rezone the land at Dunsink. Bearing in mind that I'm sitting there and I'm making them fully aware that no one has an idea here from Fingal County Council side, from central government side, of who's actually going to end up living in these places. And that's why I voted against it. And we're going to tip on into a little bit of council footage there now and just give us a little bit of an idea of how it got inside of the chamber, because it got very heated at times. But sure, look, can't take the fire, don't be in the kitchen. Slán.
Councillor Quinlan, second time, so keep it to planning, please.
Yeah, no, it was just things got heated there with all the interruptions. Thanks very much. But there was two questions I just want to make sure that get answered. One is, what is the overall projected population of the Dunsink area to be? And then two is, what is the overall demographic breakdown projected to be of the area, because going off of other areas surrounding it, particularly Charlestown to the north, it's like 80% non-national. So I'm just wondering, is there any idea what that's going to be?
Okay, the question has been put, whatever. So, to the planning officials to answer whatever is appropriate.
Thank you. So, as the members have referred to, it is a significant land bank of residential zone land. So that existing residential area that was owned in the start of the 2023 development plan is approximately 225 hectares, and it is owned by a mix of public and private landowners. We are proposing to prepare the urban area plan, as that's the most appropriate plan that's set out in the 2024 Act. The other types of plans would be priority area plans or coordinated plans, but we're satisfied from reading the Act that this is the urban area plan is the appropriate means to progress with Dunsink. In terms of the status of that, to say there has been an awful lot of background work and studies done in this area, going back from the previous feasibility on these lands. So that work has continued in the background, and it will form the basis for the urban area plan. So it is very much has been progressed and will continue to be. And we hope to return to, as I say, we're aiming to put it on display in Q2 of this year, but we will look to come back to the members again in the next month or two with a further update and more details on that. And we'll be happy to provide them there. I'd say as well, just in terms of progressing it, it was included in the application that the council made to the Housing Infrastructure Investment Fund most recently. So the council is looking at the infrastructure that's needed, as well as the policy context, and getting that into the development plan. So as I say, it is being progressed. In terms of the scale of the development on the land, ultimately that's something that will be worked on in the urban area plan. The ultimate population will depend on the density, and we'd expect it as a range. Given the size of the land bank, it could accommodate up to 15 to 20,000 units. As I say, density is something that will be looked at further when the plan is being prepared, and that would be, we'd expect to include sort of broad policies on that and elaborate on it a bit more in the draft. Right.
Okay, Councillor Humphreys.
And just a point of clarity, a local area plan was legally binding, had statutory power. An urban framework plan was more equivalent to a master plan, that was more advisory. So I just didn't hear that in the answer. Am I correct in that?
No, the urban area plan is a statutory plan, so it goes through a similar process to a local area plan in terms of being prepared. It goes out on public display. There's a report prepared on that consultation process. It comes back to be formally approved and adopted by the members. So it has a statutory footing. The master plans and framework plans went through kind of a process, but they aren't statutory documents. So the urban area plan is.
Okay, Roisin.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, members. I suppose just for a bit of clarity around what we do in terms of population projections and what we do, every development plan is obliged to have a core strategy within it, and that core strategy looks at three things. It looks at population projections. So we're allocated a population growth or a unit growth at a national level, and we're looking then at that population projection, the housing requirement for that, and the distribution of those houses across our county. So which settlements will grow in which way and by how many units, and that's what we look at. It filters down. We have a national led system, so it's filtered down at a national level to the regional level and to ourselves, and that's what we look at, and that's what we're statutorily obliged to study and publish in terms of population projections.
Okay, so now propose to go to a vote on 26 Chief Executives. No, Patrick, I'm not letting you back in. Chief Executives recommendation, Dunsink Urban Area Plan. Vote, please. Councillor Quinlan.
Thank you very much, sir. There's been a lot of talk about brownfield sites and stuff like that. Dunsink is a brownfield site. But I was actually up there today, just having a little bit of walk around and getting to meet all the locals and stuff like that and talk to them. It's the only brownfield site up in that area. Is the dump itself is the only brownfield site up in that area. And talk about overpopulating the area, and how can we building in the area? How can we know if we're overbuilding in the area when we don't really even know what the overall potential population? I got a very sideways answer off the top there when I asked that question, and what if the overall population is actually going to be. But for years the council has simply boarded the people with finglas with a toxic dump, and now they simply want the concrete over it and alongside a genuine green belt, and that is essentially deeply hypocritical. I heard from the far left councillors supporting the Dunsink proposals. Hundreds of wildlife species live up there, from the likes of frogs to foxes to badger sets, all this stuff. We have at least 2 horse and pony clubs operating up on the site at the moment, and has there been any real engagement with them? I was there today, and one of them told me that they were promised 10 acres of land off of the council in its development, and whether or not that was done on paper or it was actually just a gentleman's agreement, as we call it, I'd like clarification on that as well.
Okay. And Councillor Quinlan?
I've asked the question twice now, and I don't seem to be able to get a very straightforward question. The question being, what is the potential overall population of the area projected to be? If I can't get an answer to that...
I heard it very clearly, 15 to 20,000.
That's the population?
Yeah.
Or the houses?
Units.
Yeah.
That's the
units.
They're the units.
Sorry, I couldn't...
Sorry, okay, grand.
So 15 to 20,000 units.
Units. And
no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, the occupation, the future population will just depend on household occupancy. So at the moment, it's in the region of 3 per household in Fingal, but overall demographics are predicting that the number of people per household will fall. So over time that figure is likely to change. So as I say, we work more in terms of the unit numbers. As I say, as there is more certainty on that.
Thank you very much, Deirdre, for the answer.